bivouacked in the center of the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf, which is a 5-hour flight from the nearest Antarctic station. Nothing is simple. Even though it was a southern summer, British Antarctic Survey geologist James Smith survived over 3 months of frigid weather, 10 living, and dried food. To examine the history of the floating shelf, he needed silt from the sea floor, which was buried beneath half a mile of ice. Smith and his colleagues had to melt 20 tons of snow to produce 20,000 liters of hot water, which they then poured into a conduit and dropped down a borehole in order to reach it. They melted through the ice inch by inch for 20 hours until ultimately breaking through the shelf. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at what they discovered frozen in the ice shocked the whole world. Yeah, you heard it right. Next, they lowered an instrument and a GoPro camera to gather sediment. However, the collector returned empty. They attempted once again, still vacant. Again, nothing is simple. Each round trip of the instrument required an hour. Smith viewed the tape later that night in his tent and spotted a very blatant issue. The video depicts a plunge through 3,000 feet of blue-green ice that abruptly ends and opens onto dark salt water. The camera travels a further 1,600 feet until the seafloor eventually comes into view. Smith was searching for primarily light-colored dirt, but also something dark. This black object was revealed to be a boulder, which the camera slams with a crash, sending it face down into the sand. The camera rapidly corrects its position and scans the rock, uncovering something the geologists weren't seeking at all. In reality, it was something extremely unlikely: life. What the frickin' hell, Smith claims. It is a single, large boulder in the center of an otherwise flat sea floor. It's not as if these objects are littering the sea floor, just his luck to drill in the single incorrect location. Wrong location for gathering seafloor muck, but absolutely ideal for a 1 in a million chance of discovering life in an environment where scientists did not expect to find much of it. Smith is not a biologist, but his British Antarctic Survey colleague, Hugh Griffiths, is. Griffiths observed a film-like substance on the rock when he viewed the footage in the United Kingdom, which is likely a microbial mat composed of bacteria. A sponge, like an extraterrestrial, and other critters with stalks dangle from the rock, while thicker, cylindrical sponges clung to the surface. Additionally, the rock was laced with wispy filaments, which may have been a component of the bacterial mat or a unique critter known as a hydroid. A boulder that Smith discovered by mistake is 160 miles from daylight, or the nearest edge of the continental shelf where the ice finishes and the open ocean begins. It is hundreds of miles from the nearest potential food source, a site that receives sufficient sunlight to sustain an ecosystem and is in the correct position relative to the rock for known currents to provide these critters with food. Life has no business being here, but it has no right to be here. If you don't know where it is, it's not the most interesting looking rock, says Griffiths, lead author of a new study published in the journal Frontiers in Marine Science. Since you're now aware, it is likely that your jaw is currently somewhere near the ground. We can state categorically that these creatures live in utter darkness, which is acceptable because many deep-sea creatures do the same. However, creatures with sessile or stationary lifestyles on the ocean floor must rely on a fairly constant food source in the form of marine snow. Every living thing in the water column above must eventually perish, and when they do, they descend to the ocean floor. As the bodies drop and rot, other organisms feed on them and fling off particles, which collect even on the ocean floor's deepest depths. By the way, when a whale dies and sinks, it's referred to as a whale fall. This is effective in most regions surrounding Antarctica, where the seas are extraordinarily productive. Plankton are microscopic organisms that feed all types of fish, which in turn nourish marine mammals such as seals. All this activity generates trash and dead animals that will become marine snow in the future. However, the Antarctic creatures residing on this particular rock do not inhabit an active water column. They reside beneath a half-mile of ice, and they cannot leave their rock to look for food. The worst thing to be in a country where food is scarce and sporadic is something that is rooted to the ground, adds Griffiths. How therefore could they possibly be obtaining sustenance? The researchers believe that the drift of this marine snow has likely been inverted, causing the food source to move horizontally rather than vertically. Using charts of nearby currents, the researchers calculated that their productive zones between 390 and 930 miles away from the drill location. It is likely that enough organic matter is carried by these currents for hundreds of kilometers to sustain these organisms. In the Challenger Deep in Guam, the deepest portion of the ocean, marine snow formed at the surface must plummet 7 miles to reach the ocean floor. For food to reach the animals in this Antarctic rock, they would have to travel up to 133 times that distance while floating sideways. According to Rich Moy, curator of invertebrate zoology and geology at the California Academy of Sciences, who studied Antarctic sea life but was not involved in this new research, this is not a particularly far-fetched theory. As regional seawater cools, it becomes more thick. Moy explains it descends to the ocean floor and pushes water outward, emanating from Antarctica. These currents are the progenitor of many, if not almost all, current systems on the planet. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.